everyone. This is Philip Connect. I want to welcome you back to Hill Country History. Today, we'll be talking about the landscapes of North Mississippi. And when I mean landscapes, we're really talking about a kind of a big scientific word called physiographical. Now, physiographical is a scientific term that means landscapes, regions, how they relate to other regions, their geology, their elevation, the nature of their soil, and all that. It's just a way that scientists discuss the different regions, not just in Mississippi, but all around the country. And if you're like me, you've been living here all your life. Maybe you've lived here all your life as well. Maybe you're just visiting or something like that. But if someone was to ask you to describe North Mississippi, and not the people or the culture, but the land itself, most of us would probably say about the same thing. It's going to be a area of kind of gently rolling hills, a lot of farmland, some river valleys here and there, the occasional bodies of water, either man-made or natural. And all that is true. That is a true and accurate description of North Mississippi. But when you start looking into it, just like I have recently, you start to notice that Mississippi, at least the north part of Mississippi, the part that we're talking about, has a lot of different variety when it comes to landscapes. In fact, North Mississippi has a total of 7 different physiographical regions that are recognized here. And again, if you live here quite a while, visit as you're driving around North Mississippi or you're living in your towns, you might not realize it exactly, particularly if you've been here for a while. But if you really know where these locations are, where these regions are, where they end, where they begin, how big they are, what their landscapes entail, then you actually will start to see Mississippi, or at least northern Mississippi, in a different light. At least I certainly have since I've learned about all this. So you may be asking, why are we talking about this? This is the channel's Hill Country History, and I will be getting into the history, a lot of it. But I really do think it's important when we start out any discussion about history or people to talk about the land itself, because the physiographical regions of North Mississippi are the physiographical nature of this area, kind of informs how people arrived here, why people moved to certain spots, why certain battles took place in certain sites, why some towns rose in some regions and didn't others, and all that. So all that's important to talk about. Even when we're talking about the very earliest peoples in Mississippi, all the way to the European settlers up till modern days, we all chose where we live, at least as a culture, as a society, based on, at heart, these things we'll be talking about, these regions, these physiographical natures of this region of North Mississippi. So I really do think it's important for us to talk about this and to look at it and look at the regions, see what they're called, and go from there. So what we'll be doing is looking at all these regions, these 7 different physiographical regions in North Mississippi, starting on the west side along the Mississippi River, all the way to the east side of Mississippi, North Mississippi, which is really the Tombigbee River, and a few miles beyond that. Technically, the Tombigbee River for a long time was a historical sort of boundary for East Mississippi. So what we'll be doing is kind of one by one going through that and seeing, like I said, what these landscapes look like, and why they're important. So join with me. The first region we'll be looking at is the westernmost region here in North Mississippi. That is officially known as the Yazoo Basin. Most of us know it much better known as the Mississippi Delta. The Mississippi Delta is an area of enormous cultural, social, and musical importance. The Delta is a great alluvial floodplain of the Mississippi River, stretching from just south of Memphis, Tennessee, going all the way down to Vicksburg, Mississippi. The western third of DeSoto County and all of Tunica County are part of the Mississippi Delta. It may seem strange to discuss the Mississippi Delta on a channel called Hill Country History. Certainly, this is not part of the Hill Country, but it is part of North Mississippi, and both DeSoto County and Tunica County were part of the original 1830s Chickasaw Cession, which created the counties of North Mississippi, and that is why we are looking at it here now today. The topography is quite flat and level in the Mississippi Delta, with elevations around 200 feet in the northern section. The delta contains large, flat plains with the occasional meander or oxbow lakes, which were created when older channels of the Mississippi River were cut off from the main channel. Rivers and streams flow through the area. Wetlands and swamps can be seen in some areas. The geology consists of Quaternary Holocene age alluvial sand, silt, clay, and gravel. The alluvial soil is some of the richest and most fertile land in the entire world. Originally, the delta was covered in hardwood forests, but those have been almost completely cut down for timber and to make the land more suitable for cultivation. Some areas of woodland do remain in the delta. Originally, this area was subjected to devastating periods of flooding, but drainage schemes and man-made reservoirs and levees created in the early 20th century have largely put a stop to the flooding. The Mississippi Delta, particularly this northern section we are looking at, has attracted people for thousands of years, and this area is dotted with prehistoric remains. Even the first Europeans, led by Hernando de Soto, arrived here in this region in about 1541.
Okay, so we are here in the Mississippi Delta. This is the western part of DeSoto County. Beautiful area, beautiful country. Really historic too, actually. A lot of history came through here. Of course, we have the farming apparatuses that are around us, including the silos you see behind me. Lots of cultivated fields around here, very typical for the Delta. To my right is actually the Mississippi River, right here at sunset. Hopefully about to go get a look at that. To my left is actually one of many Native American mounds. This is the Woodland Mound over here. And probably most importantly, as far as history is concerned, most modern scholars, archaeologists, historians believe that this is the direct route of Hernando de Soto, that when he came across Mississippi River, this is the area that he came by. And in fact, Woodland, or one of the other Native American mounds around here, could be one of the villages that he visited in the what's called Quiz was the name of the villages that he called back in 1541. So very historic area, very it's really amazing, beautiful country. Most people, when they think of the Delta, they think of much further south than here, but the Delta comes all the way up here to just before Memphis. So this is DeSoto County. This is the Mississippi Delta.
The Loess or Bluff Hills are some of the most distinctive geographical features in Mississippi and are instantly recognizable to anyone who has ever driven from the hill country into the Delta or vice versa. The Bluff Hills mark the gateway between the Delta and the rest of the uplands in North Mississippi. They stand anywhere from 100 to 200 feet above the Delta to the west. The bluffs were created by the accumulation of windblown dust and sediment and consist of quaternary, Loess soil, and tertiary sand, silt, and clay. The Loess soil is very rich, but it can be difficult to work this landscape due to the steep slopes and hillsides. The North Central Hills, also known as the Red Clay Hills, make up the bulk, the middle third, of North Mississippi's landscape and contain well-known towns such as Holly Springs, Ashland, Oxford, and more. This region was originally a large plateau that sloped gently south and west. Over the centuries, the plateau has been cut across by many rivers, streams, and drainage channels. The region is known for its large tracts of woodlands, including the 150,000-acre Holly Springs National Forest. Many of the trees are oak and pine. The red clay under the soil is suitable for small farms, and the overall geology of the region is quaternary red clay and tertiary and Cretaceous sand. The sloping hills and the ancient bed of sand under the soil has resulted in massive and rapid soil erosion, particularly in the most farmable areas. Modern soil techniques and the introduction of the legendary kudzu invasive plant has largely stopped the spread of erosion in the region. East of the North Central Hills are the Flatwoods, a narrow band of low-lying, flat land that sweeps in a crescent shape around the nearby Patak Ridge and Black Prairie region. The Flatwoods are noticeably lower in elevation than the regions nearby. There remains large tracts of woodland through the area, including many pine plantations, though much of the wooded area has been cut down. The geology is quaternary to tertiary clay and coarse sand. The gray and sticky clay soil drains very poorly, resulting in a region that is difficult to cultivate and not particularly productive or prosperous. The Flatwoods can be found in the low-lying areas west of the towns of New Albany, Pontotoc, and Houston. The Patak Ridge is one of the most distinctive and recognizable regions in Mississippi. The ridge is a backbone of high hills, stretching from the Tennessee border in the north and reaching a point just above Houston. The Patak Ridge averages an elevation from 500 to 700 feet, and the ridges on either side of the region are particularly noticeable when compared to the much flatter regions on either side.
Okay, so we are here right at the edge of two separate physiographical regions here in North Mississippi. I am actually standing in what we call the Black Prairie, of a flat, very fertile area of this region. Directly behind me that you can see in the distance is actually the eastern ridge of the Patak Ridge, so a much more kind of uplands area of North Mississippi. So we are right here at the edge of both of these regions. You know, you don't always realize, sort of, as you're traveling around North Mississippi, that there are different regions here. And once you really stop to look at your surroundings and the areas around you, you do start to see the distinction between these areas. It's not all just rolling hills, flat areas. There are definitely different regions, different physiographical regions, and that's where we are right now, between Patak Ridge and Black Prairie.
The Hatchie and Chihuahua River valleys offer beautiful scenery as the rivers cut across Patak Ridge. The Patak Ridge also divides the waters and streams that flow east towards the Tombigbee River and west towards the Mississippi River. The red sandy loam soil is more fertile than one might think and is suitable for small and large farm operations, including peach and apple orchards. The Black Prairie is a wide, low-lying, treeless crescent of very fertile land that stretches from North Mississippi all the way into central Alabama. Originally, the Black Prairie consisted of wide open, wild prairies, and though they are significantly reduced today, there are still small areas where the original prairie can be seen today. The geology is Quaternary to Tertiary black clay over Cretaceous chalk and clay. This black clay gives the region its name, and the fertile soil is well suited for many kinds of agriculture and farming. The Tombigbee Hills, also known as the Tennessee Hills or the Northeastern Hills, is a region that is distinctive, elevated, with rough terrain and rocky soil. For all intents and purposes, the Tombigbee Hills represent the very western portions of the larger Appalachian Mountains. This is the first time an east traveling explorer will notice the great rocks and boulders which will be seen frequently in the Appalachian and Blue Ridge Mountains to the east. This region is one of wild and rugged beauty, typified by the wonderful scenery at places like Tishomingo State Park. The geology is unique in the state: Quaternary gravel, Cretaceous sand, and Paleozoic sandstone, limestone, and chert beds. The highest point in all of Mississippi lies in the Tombigbee Hills, at Woodall Mountain, just south of Iuka, Mississippi.
Okay, so we are here at Woodall Mountain in northeast Mississippi. This is officially the tallest point in all of Mississippi, tallest point in North Mississippi, just over 800 feet above sea level in elevation. So quite tall for Mississippi. For any of our viewers in any other region around, certainly any mountainous region, would probably laugh at that. It doesn't even reach the point of an official mountain, but it is our tallest point. One thing to mention about Woodall Mountain is that, again, when you're traveling in North Mississippi at the very western corner in what we call the Delta, it's about 200 feet above sea level, slowly reaches up here to the highest point, just over 800 feet. When you're traveling it, or when you're living in the area like I do, and many of us do, we don't realize this elevation gain. But if you think about it, between 200 feet at the very western corner to up here 800 feet, very eastern corner of North Mississippi, it's a 600-foot elevation gain. Might not sound like a lot, but it is actually quite tall. That's the size or of the height of the Space Needle in Seattle. So a very tall structure. That is how far we are traveling up in elevation from the very western corner of North Mississippi to the very eastern corner. So again, Woodall Mountain, highest point in Mississippi.
Okay, so those were the landscapes of North Mississippi, the physiographical regions here in this part of Mississippi. Really beautiful, really distinctive areas here, going from the Mississippi Delta, the flat plains there, to the rolling hills of the lowest bluffs and the north central hills. Then, of course, the kind of the rugged, surprisingly rugged terrain of both the Patak Ridge and the Tombigbee Hills. And then in between those two are going to be, we have the Flatwoods on one side of the ridge, and then the Black Prairie on the other side. So 7 different regions here in North Mississippi, 7 different distinct areas of landscape. Again, if you're a resident here, lived here most of your life, you might be surprised by that. Or maybe you're not, but I was actually going around, traveling around Mississippi and seeing where these regions begin and end. Really thought it was a cool sort of glimpse into why so many of the early prehistoric peoples came here to North Mississippi and why they chose some areas more than others. It's something we'll be talking about a lot in our next few videos, the prehistoric past of North Mississippi. So I really hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have enjoyed it and you want to see more, again, I'd really ask you to subscribe to our channel, the Hill Country History channel. Maybe like this video. All that helps out a lot as far as getting us placed where YouTube will let other people see the video. So again, we have a lot more planned on the history of North Mississippi, the Hill Country, and all that good stuff. So again, thank you for showing up and see you soon.